No, I didn't.
You good?
I looked
Okay.
at the library book.
So we're back to public. So let's see. Approval or modification of the agenda. The only thing we need to modify is adding resignations under the under the full one. All of us, right? Or just, no, that's, never mind.
I think it's now
Resignations
on
under
the-
4-member,
Yeah.
right? So it's number 8.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry for the confusion. All right, and then I'm going to make it really confusing for non-public meeting minutes, and I'll explain it to try to help with some of the confusion. So we have a version 1.1 and then a version 1.2 because we did all 5 of us, and then we had some stuff to talk about with just the 4. So what we discussed as all 5 is on the first one, and then the second one is just the 4. And I'll write up at the top, 4-member, only 5-member. Just for clarification as it's coming around.
So 1.1 was the 5-member.
Correct.
And 1.2 was the 4-member.
Correct, and I did both of us, when we voted to leave, I did it the same on each, just because it technically covers both, so.
Okay, thank you.
There's both of them, so we'll wait until that goes around. All right, so the public meeting minutes, approval of meeting minutes for the public meeting on March 10th. Did anybody have any gross errors, issues, or concerns regarding the minutes from March 10th? Seeing none, all those in favor of the minutes on March 10th, say aye.
Aye.
You gotta abstain, you weren't here.
Okay, abstain.
Opposed, abstentions?
Me. I didn't know if reviewing them was enough.
No.
Okay.
'Cause you weren't here, so yeah.
They were sent to me, so I just assumed.
All right,
Then the non-public
I'm gonna wait.
restructuring.
Yeah, but he's chitter-chattering about them, so that's fine. So I need, what we need to do is do a ratification of the March 18th restructuring committee non-public minutes. We did approve, we did a voice approval, but we're gonna ratify it because we did it via email, sorry, not we did it via email, so we need to ratify them because they need to be, available to the public within 72 hours.
Which they were.
So that way, we did it via email so we could all review them because we did a Zoom non-public with our attorney. So I need a motion to accept the minutes from March 18th.
All right, I'm not sure which month we're in. One of the meetings talked about that we were going to be talking about the longevity stipend, and it said the treasurer's stipend from $300 to $4,325. I think that gives the impression it was going from $300 to.
So that's the March 10th minutes.
Okay,
right?
I wasn't sure which one we were doing.
We've already approved the March 10th, but that's fine.
Okay. Well, technically, the way it was written made it sound like it was going from $300 to $4,000 instead of.
Not a $300
It was going to be an
raise.
increase of
Yeah.
$300, which would take it to. So I'm sorry that I was
Okay.
behind the 8 ball.
Gotcha. No, that's okay. I was a little slow on understanding what you're talking about. So how does it read? Sorry, I can.
It
look.
says, under 4-member voting agenda, treasurer's stipend increase proposed is from $300 to $4,325.
Okay, so it should say increase by
Of
$300
$300, yeah.
Yeah.
to the full amount. Okay. So-
Thank you. Increase by $300.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll correct that.
So what we need to do is
back and
reapprove March
As
10th
amended.
minutes, public meeting minutes as amended. I need a motion to approve the March 10th meeting minutes as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion, Fran? Anything else? Okay. Seeing nothing else, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Thank you. Yep.
Okay. All right, now we'll go to the non-public meeting that we had on March 18th. We did an email approval of the non-public minutes. We need to ratify that email approval. I need a motion to accept the non-public minutes for March 18th for restructuring.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Next, meeting the March 31st non-public meeting minutes from tonight. I need a, let's see, so we're gonna do version 1.1 first. I need a motion to approve the 1.1 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Next, version 1.2, four-member board only. I need a motion to accept the minutes from non-public meeting tonight.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. We'll move those on. Next, we will open it up for public comments.
Aubrey Friedman, Bridgewater. Just one topic tonight. So I'm sure you heard about the New Hampshire School Board Association advising all their members to redo your anti-discrimination policies regarding transgender students because of the president's executive order. Also, the New Hampshire Interscholastic Athletic Association is also advising its members to line up with the federal policy, again because of the president's executive order, regarding trans students, sports. And also in Maine, I'm sure you heard about that, the commotion versus the U.S. Department of Education versus Maine over, again, same issue, transgender in sports. So my reason to bring that up tonight is, again, I've said, spoken about this before, taking federal grants, federal money, there's always going to be strings attached. Now, in the past, it hasn't really been an issue, but I'd say this is an issue, so I'm kind of, it's the federal government is, they're threatening or will threaten to cut any of the funding that they've been giving. So it is a big issue. And, are you going to allow them to determine how we run our schools here, or will it be local control? So it is kind of a big issue. Now, administrations come and go. This one is going to be here till early 2029. But I think it's bigger than just this administration having different policies than most school boards have, and especially, and ours especially. So and it can be with other issues too, curriculum, not just this whole transgender business. So I want to just bring it up again. I don't think it's a good idea, as I've complained in the past, about taking the federal money, the federal grants, and maybe we should rethink this, because this time it is an issue. And I'm sure we're going to run into some legal expense over this issue. And I'm just curious if you are going to do anything, if anything. Maybe you aren't, but I'm just curious. And that's it. That's my only comment tonight.
All right, we're not live streaming.
No, we're recording.
Okay,
It's how Paul set it up, so.
okay. I told you, I'd always get a message when it's not working.
Not me, just for the record.
Not you this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right, anybody else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. Response to public comments, have you even gotten a spring update on policies?
No, our spring update, but we did get an alert from the New Hampshire School Board Association that they are crafting sample policy. It's not ready yet for us to adopt, but they are in the process. So, on that very issue.
Okay, thank you. Next, correspondence. I didn't have any correspondence. Did anybody have any correspondence? Nope. Okay, next, announcements and recognition, superintendent's report.
Can you go first?
Oh,
Yeah.
evidently, we'll go.
So just so I don't steal your thunder on
Okay.
anything.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm totally gonna steal her thunder for her.
Oh, I was gonna do that, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, now we can just put her on the spot.
Okay.
And tell us, you have to tell everybody your good news now, because I'm not gonna steal it from you, but I know it.
About what? Which
About, I
thing?
believe you may have texted my husband like
Oh.
2 days ago about your good news about some acceptance letters you've received as well.
I did, yeah, so very excitingly, I got into UPenn and Princeton and Harvard, and I've decided that I'm going to Harvard this fall.
We couldn't
Yeah.
be prouder.
Yeah, so a newfound kid will be going to Harvard.
Fantastic.
I'm super excited. I've already joined like the class of 2029 group chat, and we've been talking this whole time. It's like, yeah, I'm very excited, but it'll be a big change from here. So
I hadn't heard of the decision, so
yes.
congratulations.
I'm committing officially next week when I go visit again. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
It's fantastic.
And your bill's moving along?
Yes, my bill passed the House of Representatives with a voice vote,
Yep.
so it wasn't that close that you needed a roll call, but it now goes to the Senate. So we'll see. Hopefully that's good. What else did I have? Our math team competed at the state competition on March 17th, and they did pretty well. The English department took students on a field trip to the Museum of Fine Arts on March 19th, and I heard that they had a blast. We've had career exploration opportunities at the high school, including visits to Gunstock, Hart's Turkey Farm, and an upcoming horticulture career exploration trip on April 17th. Last week, while underclassmen were picking their course selections for next year, seniors took part in Senior Scholarship Day, and we were able to work on applications for various local and statewide scholarships, and we are very grateful for the support provided by the guidance department with that. The robotics team just came back from their University of Vermont competition this past weekend, and they did well. And the GSA leadership team attended a conference at SNHU, and if you could hear that, the Matilda cast and crew have been hard at work every day, with rehearsals continuing for their upcoming performance in May. And Project Promise has had the opportunity to apply for some STEAM grants, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math, through the 21st CCLC grant that we are currently funded through. And if we get this grant, we are looking to provide a 3-week STEM camp for elementary schoolers at Bristol and Danbury this summer, and help fund some STEM courses at the high school level this summer. And it is due on April 13th, and we won't know until early May if we get that. But Project Promise and the PTO at Bristol co-hosted 2 nights of Family STEM Night with White Mountain Science last Tuesday and Wednesday, and both nights had over 80 people in attendance, which was amazing. There were a bunch of families that came out and made zip lines for little Lego men, and the kids had a blast. So, both sites at the elementary and high school are finishing up their 4th session and then starting their last leg of enrichment activities when we get back from April break. Looking ahead, the next few weeks will be busy because it's PSAT and SAT day on April 8th, next Tuesday, high schoolers' favorite day. And the end of quarter 3 is on April 9th, and then we start our last quarter of the school year already. The Senior Project Showcase is set for May 14th, and that's where all the seniors present the work that they've done and put into their senior projects around and about here at the high school.
Are you in that?
Yes, I will be doing that. Spring sports have begun practices, and students are very excited to be back in action. In other news, the DeLorean that was built for Winter Carnival made the front page of the Record Enterprise on Thursday. So for 75 cents, you could have a copy for yourself. And I actually have to leave soon because I'm meeting with a member from the National School Board Member Association. She wants to understand what student reps do in New Hampshire, and we're actually meeting tonight in a little bit, so
That's
I will
fantastic.
be doing that. Yeah, talking about what student reps do in New Hampshire and why it's important, and they want to extend their outreach into New Hampshire, so yeah.
Pretty impressive. You'd be a good candidate for Harvard.
Thank you.
See, you checked off a lot of the things on my list. So
Okay.
That's why I had you go first.
Okay.
I think
Sorry.
piggybacking on a couple of those, did I hear you? I don't think you said in there that our one-act play is
you're right.
going to, our one-act play got chosen at the regional competition. They are going to state competition, our senior one-act. So that's in Guilford in a couple weeks. So we're very
Yes.
excited about that. Today, 13 students were recognized in Concord as New Hampshire Scholar Athletes. And spring sports enrollment this year, 115 students are signed up across 3 teams of softball, baseball, and track, the highest we've had in athletic signups since before the pandemic. So,
That's just the high school.
just the high school,
Okay.
just the high school.
I just wanted to
Yeah, I don't
make
even,
that
haven't even
qualification.
received
That's
the middle school numbers yet.
Gotcha.
So I'm waiting
Wow.
on those. I'm hoping they're as high as well, so.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised. I know there's
Yeah.
a lot of kids practicing.
Some other stuff, this is the time of year we've received some monitoring from the state on our federal grants from the past, before most of us at the SAU were even there. But I wanted to say that the new SAU staff, including with the help of some of the veteran staff, have survived all these monitoring processes, I think with flying colors, which is, digging up data and justification from the past of activities you put in the grant isn't an easy thing to do, but they did a great job, and the state complimented them on the work. So would like to point out Donna Evans, who has been with the district for well over 20 years and has been the administrative assistant at BES, and then the high school, has just finished her first couple weeks as executive assistant at the SAU, and she's doing a fantastic job. She is a quick learn, and the SAU is very lucky to have her. Just one of the last things I'll share is one of the things that my association, meaning the Superintendent's Association, does every year is they recognize certain individuals like retired educators or folks in a community they call their Champion for Children program. And at Newfound, we've had a couple winners in my recent past. Before the pandemic, we nominated Les Dion from the TTCC, and she won not only the regional but also the state Champion for Children. A couple of years ago, I'm losing track of time, Chief Suckling was nominated, and he also won. Well, this year, as a first-time superintendent and my first official nominee, I'm pleased to say, was chosen as Champion for Children, and I nominated, and unanimously chosen by the association, was Tracy McLean. For those of you who don't know Tracy, I'll say this for home, is Tracy was a very involved parent over many, many years here at Newfound. She could be seen at every event, every game, taking pictures of all children, not just her children, baking cupcakes, surprise senior gifts, taking people into her home, giving people rides. One of my fondest memories of Tracy was during the pandemic when we went into lockdown, and those seniors of the class of 2020 were not, they were being robbed of all those traditional senior rights that others have, or rites of passage, I should say. And she and another parent teamed up and visited every senior at their home. And back then, people were only greeting you from your front door, and she took a senior portrait of every graduating senior that year. Sadly, Tracy passed away this past summer in a car accident, and one of the immediate effects you could see that she had on our community, all the photos that she gifted families over the years, everyone changed their social media page to a picture that Tracy had gifted them. So I'm pleased to announce that she is chosen as this year's Champion for Children. So,
For the Lakes region.
for the Lakes region. We'll find out if she will be chosen as the state winner at the presentation in May, which her family will attend with us. So that's my report.
Thank you. And well-deserved for Tracy. I think that's when you told me about the nominee and her being successful with the Lakes Region Superintendents to be nominated, I wasn't surprised because she didn't just take pictures of our games here. I mean, everybody knew Tracy in the Lakes region. So.
And she worked up at Plymouth and somehow had time to take pictures for them too. So actually, Plymouth co-wrote and sent a letter of recommendation for my nomination as well.
Oh, wow. Awesome. So, next we are up to N. Presentation. See, we had to talk too much. It got sleepy.
Always the moment of phew. Well, thanks for having me tonight. Really appreciate coming out. So tonight my presentation is about culture and climate. And so culture and climate isn't just about having fun and about welcoming people into our schools. Climate and culture talks about how we plan, how we build systems, the leadership style, how we hire and keep good people, how we have traditions, how we evaluate, and how we get feedback. So when I asked my staff what they wanted us to talk, what they wanted me to talk about and celebrate about our school, this was the topic that they asked me to do. So culture refers to shared values and beliefs and practices that a school has. Climate reflects the overall atmosphere and experiences, including physical and emotional safety for students and staff. You have to have both of these in order for students and staff to feel welcome, to have belonging, and so that learning can take place. And I'm a big quote person, so I like this quote. Test scores don't change climate and culture. Climate and culture changes test scores. And so how do we do that here at New Hampton Community School? The first thing, and this is several years old, but what I love about it is that it has stayed with us throughout the years. So this was one of the first things we did way back when I became co-principal, like a principal in New Hampton and out in Danbury. We wrote a mission statement with all of our stakeholders in our community. And so the big thing is NHCS Cares. And so we talk about character, achievement, excellence, responsibility, and spirit. We have a school song, we sing.
Are you going to sing it for us?
I am not going to sing it, and nor would you want me to
Where's
sing
Miss
it.
Seeley?
But this mission statement comes back. For instance, last week, my 4th grade class really didn't make a great choice with a staff member in our school. And so I invited myself up to talk. And I just wrote down our mission statement. I just put NHCS Cares. And I asked the students, what does C stand for? What does A stand for? And they can tell you. And then I talked a little bit about the incident that occurred. And then we brought it back to re-showing all of these characteristics that we want to show. So it's a living document. It's something that our students know. As a staff, we talk about. When decisions have to be made, we try to bring this up all the time. And then I just love that, in every school, the future of our world are in our schools. So what is culture? It's the values that our collective group of people believe. And so we value academics. And I think elementary schools are those foundational times where we build that success for students as they can continue to grow. We value our soft skills that we teach our students, like punctuality and politeness and kindness and respect. We value at our school staff efficacy. And this is the shared belief that we as a group can make positive impact as we confidently, in our ability, achieve the outcomes that we want. So again, we talk about it. We talk about what are the outcomes that we want as a group. And it's all of our people that we talk to about that. We value teamwork, collaboration, and communication. We believe that all students can learn and grow. Every one of our students can learn and grow. We believe that our school is a partnership between educators, families, and community stakeholders. We believe in high expectations for everyone. And this is everyone, and I think that it takes time to build, and I think it takes time, but whatever I ask my staff to do, I would do for them, and they would do for me. We have high expectations for our custodian, the way the school looks, but when the custodian isn't in for the day, our staff steps up to the plate, or when kids see the paper that's on the floor, they'll pick up it. So again, we try to show and have high expectations for everyone. We implement research-based curricula. We implement tiered instruction. We implement assessments, so we benchmark for all, and we progress monitor for some. And we implement consistent and clear behavioral and social expectations. But those are all words. And so I want to show you, what does it look like? What does it truly look like in our school? So those top three pictures on the left is whole group instruction. So our teacher is, again, the whole group, the whole class is sitting around, and the teacher's instructing the whole group. Then we have small group instruction. So again, the teacher will meet with a small group. They might be reviewing things. They might have extra practice on a topic that they might not have mastered yet. And then the other students are working independently on skills that they need. And then you have on the right-hand side our one-to-one intervention. And we believe our instruction needs to be eyeball-to-eyeball instruction. And so, yes, we use apps. Yes, our students are on computers, but we really feel that the best learning and the best things that happen in school is when we're eyeball-to-eyeball teaching our students. You can see a group of three of our teachers are sitting around talking about, they could be talking about what went well that day. They could be talking about what was the challenge for the day. They talk about ideas. They throw out ideas to one another. So they'll meet and just talk to each other, which is amazing. We have the colorful spreadsheets there, our data. So we keep track of our students' data, or their test scores, from year to year. And so we color code it to see how they're growing, anyone of concern. The books that you see there are our research-based curriculum that we use. So Eureka Squared, CKLA, you'll see a chapter book in there. We think it's important that, again, students are reading, and they're reading independently, and they're reading chapter books of their pleasure, what they like to read. You'll see it says Rate Your, and so that is a system that we put into play, and I think that's important, is we have systems, so when students come to me, or parents give me a call, and they say a child's being unkind, or a child's being rude, or mean, or even bullying, we use this chart to kind of talk about, well, why do you think it's bullying? Could it be they're just being mean? Or could it be you call it mean, but it's actually bullying? And so we use this chart to really guide our conversations and to have it be clear and consistent. On the far left-hand side is our behavior processing sheet. And so again, when students have difficulty, they'll spend some time with myself, and we'll kind of talk about, well, what was your action and how were you feeling and what was happening during that time and what was the next thing that happened, and okay, now that we're kind of in a better place, what could we have done differently if we were able to do that again? And so we used that again. Timula Valley taught us that several years ago. And it's a really nice way, again, that we use with all of our students. And it not only talks about behavior and the poor choices you make, it talks and shares with them, well, what could I do better? What skills, what choices could I do in a different way? Moving on to climate, again, climate talks about the atmosphere. So in Hampton Community School, we greet in the morning. We have greeters outside in the morning, every morning, and we say goodbye in the afternoon. Every morning we do morning announcements. Our atmosphere, everyone knows your name. So again, we're fortunate enough that we're a small enough school that all of our staff knows everyone's name, and we use students' names to make them feel welcome. Our teachers, most of our teachers use Class Dojo, which is a communication tool, and then I also send out Friday newsletters. We communicate, through things through Infinite Campus. Our atmosphere, we have an amazing dedicated PTO organization. In our atmosphere at New Hampton Community School, we have outstanding parent participation at our open house and teacher conferences, and we have amazing community support. So our climate also is about the experiences that we give each child throughout their time with us. And it's those traditions that take place. It's the field trips that they go on. It's the fun Fridays that we have. It's the PTO events. It's the staff meetings that we have. It's the Sunshine Committee. It's, again, the celebrations we have as adults so that our adults feel valued and feel that they want to come through the doors every day. Also in climate is that physical and emotional safety. So again, we have those cameras and buzz systems, and for some of our students, that makes them feel safe and secure. We also have our full-time nurse and full-time school counselor. Both of them were out 2 weeks ago. They both got sick at the same time. And let me tell you, you learn a lot about what people do and how you miss those people and the skill set that they truly have when they're not in your building. So again, we are so fortunate to have those people. We have support through our district, behavior specialist and social worker. And again, I think one of the things that we really need to celebrate at New Hampton Community School is how our staff works together and they support one another. Again, we had one of our teachers, a family member got sick pretty quickly, and I had teachers stepping up to say, how can I help plan? What do they need copied? What can I do to support that? And we have our support staff that go out and help our students in a lot of different ways too. So again, what does climate look like in a school? On the far left there, you'll see myself and two of our second graders. Over our intercom, we do our daily announcements every day. And so we welcome everyone in, we do the pledge, we celebrate some birthdays. This year we're doing a joke for the day. And so it's just a nice way that we kick off our school. The picture with the dad and the three children is our Veterans Day assembly. So one of our traditions that we have is our Veterans Day, along with our One Book, One School literacy event, which is, we're reading Pi this year. We've read many different classics, different books over the years. You'll see again, one of our traditions is our winter program. The bottom with the festive holiday sweaters, that's our holiday sing-along. And what I love about that picture, those are two of our fourth graders. And they were friendly, you know, in kindergarten, in first grade, second grade. Their friendship has grown so much, and it's so fun to watch the two of them support one another, push one another academically. And I just love this picture because it's their families together, sitting together at our holiday sing-along this year, and then they wanted to have a picture together with both families. So I just thought that was a super cool way that our families, you know, come together and are a part of our school. We do a whole school rock, paper, scissors contest, so that's just a fun thing. And then Fenway comes to our school, and Fenway, again, is listening to a third grader read. A couple other things that we do, just, again, because this is important, we do Elf on the Shelf, or Elf on the Campus. But in this picture, it's kind of neat to see. Here is Julie Bisson sitting. She just stopped by one day to have lunch at her school, and so Julie's on sabbatical this year. But she just stopped in, and there she is having lunch with our kids that day. You'll see our two adults that have lunch duty, you know, just kind of one's helping, you know, greet kids as they're going through the hot lunch line, and then Mrs. Denault's, you know, walking around talking to kids. Our next one with the parachute, that's our PTO egg drop, which is again a tradition that our students love, families love doing. You'll see our school counselor and myself out greeting students every morning. No matter what the weather is, we're out there. And that is an amazing, you get to not only know parents, but as students come off the bus, you know whether it was a good morning or not so good morning. You know whether in a half hour I want to check in with that student and see how we can support them. It tells a lot. As we talk to the bus drivers and we have some conversation, you know, to support our bus drivers. So being out there, being visible in the morning is important. We have our annual spelling bee. Those are our two winners this year. The bottom You Rock ceremony. I made it up, and it's one of my favorite days of the year. And some of you have been teachers or parents, and hopefully you remember your child coming home with those You Rock cards every year. Our PTO does a fun run, Halloween, those tie-dyes, that's a Friday fun day of tie-dyes. We just have different themes almost every Friday. They're inexpensive, and we try to do them over again so families don't have to spend a lot of money doing or being a part of, for their children to be a part of our Fun Fridays. So you'll see that was a great hit for the day. And then that's our third to fifth grade lunch. We have music on Fridays with Mr. Bean. So one of our teachers is a DJ on Friday for them. And they put in requests to listen to music. We look at some things and then we change some things. So last year we had a tough time with our bus behavior. So this year we implemented positive bus behavior celebration. So every month we celebrate students that show positive bus behavior, and so they get a certificate, we have a quick assembly, and then they have a special lunch with me. And then I used to wear a poster on Fridays, say if you want a hug, get a hug, if you want a high five, get a high five. It really wasn't my cup of tea personally, and so I changed it this year, and so being a part of our every morning announcement, I say to them, you know, if no one has said I love you yet this morning, please know how much we love having you at NHCS. So again, sometimes it's my own thing I tweak, sometimes it's feedback from other people, but it's the same message, just sent in a different way. We have amazing community partnerships and teamwork at New Hampton Community School. And this just celebrates, again, we have some community hairdressers that come in right before Thanksgiving and they do quick haircuts and hairstyles. Our egg drop, again, we have our tree company, the 1-2 Tree comes, and they're so excited this year, they're going 100 feet up in the air for our egg drop this year. They're so thrilled to do that. Local partnerships with our community church and the police department and fire department is amazing. Again, a lot of these events, a lot of our traditions can't happen without our amazing PTO. We have the New Hampton School, we use their ice rink. This is their hockey team, skating with our skaters on the last day of our winter program. Then you have our Lego guy, his creation. This happens at the Gordon Nash Library once a month. And then in the background, you'll see Chris Honeywell, one of our former teachers, goes and she spearheads this. And then Elf on the Shelf again with our fire department. This year, we also want to really celebrate, again, Ella's Army. And so our community came together to support one of our 5th graders. We held a boot drive with the New Hampton First Responders Association, Abby Group, so Jason CD, we saw him a little earlier today at the printer. The Abby Group, they helped us run a spaghetti dinner for Ellers and her family. Our New Hampton staff did a family night out. The bottom left is Starlight Honeys, gave a benefit concert for Ella's Army. The ribbon, and we all got free t-shirts to wear that say Ella's Army. That was donated through Outside Unlimited, and Jeremy Hiltz in the Bristol Fire Department came over that day to take the picture for us. We've had over 37 sponsors come forward to help support Ella, and that doesn't count the $5, the $10, $100 checks that we receive through community member support. And then I shave my head as exciting news. I get to grow my hair out now. Ella's finished chemo, which is phenomenal, and still has a journey to go. Still has a lot of physical therapy, but her 25 rounds of chemo have recently finished. And this was earlier in the fall when a couple students and I shaved our head. And finally, all of this could not happen without our amazing group of educators. And for that, I am truly grateful. And the final quote is, if you don't get school culture and climate right, nothing else matters. So there's a little tidbit about New Hampton Community School and the great work our faculty and staff do.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Ann?
If I could say one thing is maybe once a week, sometimes maybe it's not every week, New Hampton's on my way to work, and if you want to start your day off right, I stopped by there. I find an excuse to meet with Ann, but in doing so, you walk that hall, everyone does know your name, they say hello to you, and Ann and the guidance counselor are out there every morning greeting every parent, every child, and calling them by name. And that culture starts at the top, Ann, and you know, she's quiet about her contributions, but you see her as an elf all over the building, and you see her shaving her head as long as her student is in chemotherapy. And you know, thank you for your leadership.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, thanks. It's my staff, really.
Yes.
It's the whole staff.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Financial manifest. Do we have manifests?
For February.
February? Okay. So I need a motion to approve manifest for February.
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? A little bit I was just like, yeah, you have to abstain. Knew exactly. All right, next budget update.
So I just wanted to acknowledge, and I know we'll talk a little bit about this later when we have the elections and the election results on the agenda. But the budget did not pass by 6 votes originally and by a little bit more after a recount. So which puts a difference of about $230,000 between the proposed budget and the default budget. I just wanted to let everyone know, the board and the public, that the administrators and both at the SAU and at all the buildings are working really hard and at looking at ways where we can to make sure that we still have everything we need to have, and which includes that this will not affect people or positions. We're going to be able to realize a lot of savings through savings in technology as we're migrating from laptops to Chromebooks. We're going to realize a lot of savings there, possible savings of up to $85,000 next year, which puts a big dent in that shortfall. And along with that migration, there's kind of a ripple effect of when you migrate to Chromebooks versus the traditional laptops, you're also saving on like Sophos licenses, which is another $25,000. We're also looking at, as you saw, Angela presented, was it the last meeting or the meeting before, projected, where we are going to be at year end this year. We may have some surplus this year that, we would pay off some debt or do some purchases that weren't necessarily meant for next year's budget, but for any time. Like, we would make sure we check with our auditors. Like, for example, we've needed a golf cart this year that has already died, but didn't think we could afford it till next year. We may be able to afford it this year. So I think, just to rest assured, I think that shortfall, we will be okay. And looking at the neighboring districts that have a budget cut or shortfall to make up of $2 million, $1.6 million, I think as a team, we're coming together, and we're not gonna cut anything that's gonna hurt students. So.
Thank you for the update. All right, committee reports. I don't know if there's many committee meetings the past couple weeks. Budget committee, they have a new budget. Do they have a, okay. Facilities,
We're meeting April 16th.
Right.
So,
okay. Policy committee,
I will be scheduling one soon for April into May, probably 2 before the year is over, so.
okay.
Yep.
Curriculum,
I believe Ariel has set a tentative date. I don't think it's posted as a public date. She sent it out to the committee as, hey, this is our tentative date, and she's waiting for committee response, and then we'll post it. Because I think what we'll have as a topic is,
I'm on that committee. I just realized I'm on that committee. I don't remember seeing an email.
okay, I'll
you know.
double check with her. I feel like she has sent something tentative, but
Okay.
we're looking at possible approval of some geography books for the middle school
Okay.
that were probably last updated when I taught geography at the middle school. So,
Just a little while.
just a little while.
Just a few boundaries have changed, I'm sure, and names as well. Let's see, restructuring. We had a non-public meeting, and then
Actually, I want to try to schedule one for next Monday. I'll send something out.
Okay.
And we'll put public
okay.
notice on it, so.
Building committee. I know they had a meeting.
We did have a meeting on March 12th. It was very productive. We did discuss things like the 5th grade study committee, preschool, and so on. We discussed ideas about moving forward. We talked about some data that we needed to collect to move forward. Cost per breakdowns per each school, not something that you could just, quickly look up. So we're going to wait till we get that information. There are a couple of people later on tonight's agenda that want to join the building committee, and so we'll take those up shortly. Ironically, I also called the state of New Hampshire, the building aid department just to get a feel for where they saw potential building aid coming in the next couple of years, which was like, don't hold your breath, that there's nothing in this year's budget, current budget, or in next year's projected budget. But what I found the most ironic about the discussion was the gentleman that called me is an alumni of Newfound. So he knew all about the schools and stuff, and was from Danbury. So we're working on it. Our minutes mentioned the bank building, the SAU office we rent from the bank that's closing in June. So we potentially will need to be relocating that office. So we're going to be looking at alternatives to that or other potential scenarios. So we have our work cut out for us. We're moving forward. We're going to try to do an analysis of existing buildings, getting more current update as to their status. Enrollments, as we all know, with the 3 towns leaving, our enrollments are definitely changing. Might be somewhat of an ever-changing, depending on which way Pasquaney goes with some of the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade with their options for school choice, whether some of those students will want to stay in SAU 4 or... So there's so many unknowns. So we're working on it, and as soon as we get all the data collected, we'll be scheduling another meeting, and we welcome the public to come. And we're also talking about doing another survey of the public just to get their thoughts and ideas, because the reality is, with 4 towns and 4 schools, that consolidation may be the possible resolution. It's something that has been pushed off, but I think in all reality, when you've gone from 1,600 students to 1,000, and we just want to do it with the least pain possible for students as well as employees.
And just to add to what Fran said, is one of the things that, for reasons for a new survey, one is the data was taken across the 7 towns quite some time ago. Now this would be the remaining 4 towns. And this time, doing the research she mentioned about possible facilities ideas and about possible costs of, how much does it cost to run our current schools individually versus how much it would cost to run here's these various scenarios, putting all that out there and then taking a survey, so people are actually answering a survey question with information that's already been done versus an opinion about something that's an unknown. So not that to criticize last time, but we all hindsight's 20/20 of, hey, let's get some informed feedback based on some possible real scenarios. So.
There was that company that did they were doing
Danwell.
stuff.
Yeah.
Danwell.
Yeah, have we given them a direction yet? We had a.
Armin's task from the committee was to start working with them on different scenarios, and my task was to do the finance piece, that research that Fran mentioned. So we are gathering both of those.
Banwell had done a survey of the buildings themselves, not the classrooms, square footage, and so on. And when the gentleman from Banwell spoke with us at a presentation a few months back, his off-the-cuff potential for a regional elementary school, a new one, would be in the $40 million range. In talking with the gentleman from Building A, he said, he kind of laughed at that, said that new schools that are currently being built are substantially more than that.
Yep.
So it's time to take a close look at our current facilities and what it would take to bring them up to standards, and potentially move the chairs around on the deck, so to speak.
Okay. Thank you. Fifth grade movement study committee. We haven't had a meeting. We decided kind of at this point to kind of put it on hold, but
Do you want me to take it off the agenda moving forward as a standing committee report? Is that,
I think so, because I think, they did a vote.
They did the
And then it
report
kind of, then, I think as a board, we decided to send it kind of to the building committee at that point, because it was, maybe hold off on that and send it to the building committee and do a bigger, as I call it, the 10,000-foot view, and really assess everything as a whole. So yeah, I would think, I don't know what others think. But when we go over committee assignments,
Okay.
we can look at all of
All
them,
of it.
because there's a few others that either aren't on the new one or were on the old one that we just need to look at. I personally, that's my 2 cents, but. So, wellness committee?
Well, the Wellness Committee met on Wednesday, except I thought the meeting was on Thursday. So while I was driving to the meeting on Thursday, I got the minutes for the Wednesday meeting that I didn't go to. It's what happens when you have an entire month off. You don't remember anything. But our superintendent took great minutes. So we had really been looking to have all the schools do a survey, which was something that was uniform across the schools. So we got a preliminary report from 4 of the buildings. The highlights and impressions of the data collected so far was that there were a lot of thoughts about physical education, wellness education, access to healthy food, and safe facilities. There was a presentation by Jason Seavey. That guy's name just keeps coming up. And Ms. Holleran, who have piloted a breakfast to go initiative at New Hampton with the intention of bringing it to some other schools. So that's pretty exciting. The committee gave all schools a deadline of March 1st to complete that survey. And we will meet again after March 1st. To look
April
at
1st or March?
I'm sorry, May 1st.
May 1st, okay.
We'll meet again. See, I can't do it.
I know, I'm like, March 1st, wait a minute, that would have already happened before the meeting.
And so we'll meet again after May 1st when we have all those results to look at and review. Anything you want to add, Paul?
nope, I think that was well said, thank you.
You took great notes.
All right, tech council.
They haven't met again since, but just to reiterate, one of the pieces of work that group is doing is leading that charge for the migration from the PCs to the Chromebooks, which is going to save our district, not only save our district a lot of money, we're actually going to get better warranties, and it looks like we would shift to a lease versus ownership, so then having to get rid of outdated machines off warranty, our cycle would just keep rotating into new machines that are leased every 4 years, so.
Gotcha. Right, then you don't have to pay to get rid of them.
Yep.
All right, professional development.
Presentation on April 14th of our new proposed PD plan for the next 5 years.
Okay. And, yeah, because I was supposed to be on that, but usually the meetings are too early. Strategic planning.
We had our second community night, and to get community feedback just last week. We had one at the beginning of March and then one at the end of March. We're still assembling all the data, and then the real work will happen as we, and the next step is to actually get data from all of the schools and all the students, as well as put out a community survey just to widen the net, then rolling up our sleeves and amending our 5-year plan that just came to an end, and we'll be renewing a new 5-year strategic plan. We want to have at least one more community night once we have that draft, to have people the opportunity to react to our collection of data, especially those that have shown up to these community nights, to get their eyes on it again. We expect to have a final proposed 5-year strategic plan to the board first thing in the fall.
Okay. Next, old business treasurer stipend raise.
So we presented last time to raise the stipend by $300 because it hasn't received a raise in about 3 years. I proposed it for July 1st to go into effect for next year. The current treasurer, who's been the treasurer for a great number of years now, has asked us to reconsider and put it into implementation for this year, since this position hasn't been raised in 3 or 4 years.
I need a motion.
To make a motion that we raise the treasurer's stipend by $300.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing, for this year.
Yeah, effective immediately.
There we go. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Next, all right, so next we have new business, 6-member voting board agenda. All right, board meeting schedule. So, that was, am I losing it in the, I didn't see it in the minutes or in the board packet, or am I just losing it?
I thought tonight you would just set
Oh,
the
okay.
board meeting.
Okay, just like we do now where it's, okay, normally it was printed out with all the dates.
Oh, okay.
But that's my,
As a proposed to vote on?
yeah.
Okay.
That way because of all the vacations
Yeah.
and things, because that way, because we've already done the school calendar.
Good. So does this board still want to do second and fourth? I didn't know if that would be the discussion, and then okay.
And then I think would be better off coming back with all of the dates and then
Okay.
approve all the dates because it just makes it easier because that way it's planned for the year and we got
Okay.
all the vacations not missed. And hopefully we're not that Monday before Thanksgiving because that's always just chaos.
Okay. So I can put that together for April 14th to officially vote on.
Yeah, is that, I mean, I think that's how we've done it in the past, isn't it?
So a calendar all the way through next month.
Yeah, that way it's just a little bit, we can see it versus, I think, is everybody good with staying second and fourth and just kind of staying on the same schedule?
I just wanted to
Nobody
make
has
sure
any
of
issues,
that
right?
before I created it.
That's fine.
Okay. So staying on a second and fourth
Yeah,
Monday.
and then what we can do is we'll just officially approve the new scheduled calendar, whatever,
Okay.
at our next meeting, that's fine.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Go for it.
Perfect.
Okay. Next, board committee assignments. So this is a little funky this year. That way, Jen, you're only up for like, what, let's see.
5 meetings?
5 meetings?
Yeah, something like that. Not that you've got it counted down. But some of them are easy enough to continue, and then maybe what happens is the new board member just takes over those kind of assignments or something. I don't know what we decide as a group. But I think some of the committees, we don't need to appoint to this year. But it needs to stay on the list with no assignment, because like the Hills School District, that's not up, that contract's not up.
Yep. So it's not an active committee.
Correct, it won't be active, but we have to keep it on the list because of the way that,
Partnership, yeah.
because of our partnership, that way if there's any issues. We usually keep it on the list and just write not in active negotiations for like contract renewal or whatnot. But there were some things that were missed, so let's see, contract negotiations, facilities. No, we had 2 people assigned to the football oversight committee in the past. Do we think we still need 2 or do we just need 1?
I bet one's fine.
Okay.
They haven't
That's
even
why I
met
brought
this year.
That's why I brought out my old list to see how many people were assigned to which committee. That was one of my questions.
And I don't have that.
Okay.
How many? Yeah.
Because we've added and moved around things. Oh, the other thing that will have to go back on there is NTU negotiations.
I have that. Contract negotiations.
Oh, okay, that's for the union.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
The other thing, maybe to be mindful, looking at something like policy says it has 3 members. If we're gonna end up being a 5-member board, you probably wanna drop that to 2 members.
Right. Right, so we have football, school
Yeah.
board, oh, the delegate,
Oh, I don't have it on
the
mine. Yep.
NHSBA delegate for the meeting in the fall. And then we used to have a legislative rep, but I don't think that position's, as long as I've been on the board for 8 years, I don't think that position's ever done a thing. I mean, Fran, you're the legislative rep, but I imagine you haven't done anything for that, huh?
I watch what they're doing.
Well, I know that. But like, it's never been like, I don't know. I don't know, is that something you think we should continue with?
No.
Okay. That's why I was kind of like, I think it's always been a position that's been filled, but I don't think anybody's ever really done anything.
No, and this actually came up recently in my Lakes Region Superintendent's group, and they're all moving away from having one.
Right, because I mean, if there's anything that's big or comes up, it should be as a discussion. Personally, that's my,
Well, and
My
it puts
feeling.
you in the very awkward position. You know, do you lobby for it? Do you lobby against it? And once you go down that path, you know,
And who are you representing?
right.
yeah. Okay. And you don't have it on
And you
the
would
new one.
hope that if the legislature makes changes, that since we pay to belong to the School Board Association, that they would send out updates and say,
They do,
oh,
yeah.
by the way, there is a lot of legislation dealing with tax caps and mandatory tax caps, not necessarily ones that get voted in, but that will be automatic ones applied to school districts.
And not only the School Board Association, but so does the Superintendent's Association. Both of them, they have representative legislative reps that are doing that work and then sending us the updates. So,
You guys probably couldn't sleep at night if you knew half of what was going on with schools and the legislature.
yep.
I've watched a couple of meetings, I just,
I'm sure the union also has a pretty strong presence when it comes to legislative actions.
yeah. Okay. Restructuring committee, I mean, that on June 30th, that will go by the wayside.
Well,
mean-
we have Hill, and we anticipate that there will be ongoing contracts with Pasquaney, so
Could be a Pasquani committee just to acknowledge
a
the
placeholder,
relationship. Yeah.
inactive.
Or we could just combine them and just do district contract, because the Hill and Pasquaney will be opposite years anyhow.
Yeah. And I can't imagine us doing different for one than we do for the other. The basic skeleton of it will be the same.
Right. Well, I mean, then you have then you named it, instead of the NTU negotiations, you named it Contract Negotiations Committee. I mean, we as a board, if it's our prerogative, we could put all of the contract negotiations under one subcommittee. Because you always need to have you need to have an odd number on any contract negotiations anyhow, so all three of them would have to have 3 members of a board of 5.
That's a good point.
And just and that way when Hill's renewal's up, it goes under there, and then when
Pasquani or
Pasquani's
the
up,
teachers
that goes
union
under
or- Yeah.
the teachers' union, it's all just, that way if there's 3 people assigned every year, even if there's 1 year that there's not anything, maybe like Hill, you have to prep 2 years ahead of time. Like we have to do intentions ahead of time, or just being that go-to people if there's a question for any of the contracts too.
Was there ever anything discussed at those meetings that wasn't contract related? I can't remember.
If there ever is, it always comes back to I think if there's anything outside of actual contracts, the actual contract or negotiations regarding that, I think it would come back here.
Yeah.
Personally, I just think trying to have 3 different designees for multiple different things, because any of the contract negotiations would have to have multiple, because you're not having public on those committees, you'd have to have 3 members of the board. I don't know, I mean, what do other people think?
I think that's reasonable.
That makes sense.
Okay. and we can, when we approve them, we can write on their contract negotiations, Hill, Pesquani, and then I think the restructuring committee would be done,
July 1st,
right, June 30th.
June 30th, yeah.
You know, that would be officially done June 30th. Thoughts? I see lots of head shaking. I'm not just talking to myself. Okay. Just trying to consolidate from having to have 3 people on one, another person on another, and just trying to think of the fact that we're going down to 5 people, and right now there's, 17 different committees?
And that would essentially make it 14, right? You'd eliminate.
Right,
you
we'd
would roll with
eliminate
the one.
Hill, roll it under contract negotiations, eventually restructuring will go by the wayside. 5th grade study committee
Take that one
can
off.
probably come off.
Now, at one point, I had suggested that maybe the building committee could be partnered with facilities.
I think the tricky part with that right now would be that the facilities committee, I think if there's a lot of the, I mean, if there's, I think one Armin's does both, but I think it would be good if there was a couple, or a board member that does both. Because I think there's a lot of overlap, but that building committee has so many other individuals that are community members, each town rep, and things like that, that I think it would be hard for them to sit through a facilities meeting as well, where that's more
The
like an
day-to-day
administrator.
maintenance and other
Right,
projects versus the sole task of what is the future of our,
yeah, just because we have a lot of people on that building committee that are not the day-to-day maintenance, but I think having, you know, there's, you know, having somebody doing both might be good, because then it's,
The building committee, then perhaps if we could put our hats on it, come up with a different, not necessarily mean just a title name change, but concept of it, that it might not necessarily be a new building, but it might be modifications or expansions on existing buildings.
and that was the charge that we had kind of given them.
I
When we
think
voted on
everybody's
it.
thinking was, we're gonna build a new school, and it's gonna be somewhere else, and I think that kind of blinders on to just look at new building.
I think after the last meeting, there was a big change, just because it got, yes, that's what they were originally looking at, just not knowing, and then, you know, House Bill 349 came up, and so then the building committee got put on hold for over a year. You know, they haven't, I mean, yes, they've had meetings here sporadically, but nothing's really been achieved, right? Like, nothing's really been moved, because we're so wishy-washy trying to figure out everything at first, and figure out what the impact's gonna be and this and that, that I think there's all those things that need to get kind of waded through over the past year. And now they're in a place where they can be like, okay, like I think, like you said, your words were, it was a very productive meeting, and this is what we need to give people the information to really look at this. And I think Armin's gonna keep that building committee.
yeah, I think you're gonna see a difference.
I agree.
Pretty
with
on
you
task.
But I think that if we merged them, you'd end up with some marathon agendas sometimes, so. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not all of them, but.
And the committee would become huge, because the people we currently have on the facilities committee, we need, because there are, you know, administrators at different buildings, and there's board members, myself, and the business administrator when appropriate. But then the building committee is a lot of parents and community members, so all of a sudden joining those two will be a very big committee for 2 different purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's always good thought and to talk about, and I think this is, budget committee, district data committee.
I have not seen that run in my lifetime as a administrator, which is, I think it was an invention of Marie Ross when I was a 7th grade social studies teacher. Like, where it actually met. I don't know, Jen, can you help me with that? Because she was the 8th grade literacy teacher at the time, so.
Yeah, I don't,
It, It was, she sent people to data camp and
Yep.
gave everyone, before everyone had one of these, she gave us iPods to go around and collect data on the iPods.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
so we're going back 15 years.
But we might want to look up what the, like, documents on the data committee, can we just discontinue it as a board, which is fine, we can vote to discontinue them, but we should just look up at the history, because I thought last year, in the fall, we had said, oh, we gotta keep that because of something. But I have no idea, maybe I'm just making that up.
Well, when I first saw it, I thought they were referring to the data study that we did when I was on the budget committee that compared 16 different school districts with the level of spending and where Newfound came in play. And so it was my impression that that's probably what it was talking about, but now it sounds like it was something totally different.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
just,
it was teachers collecting data
Yeah.
on teachers.
Sounds like we don't need
It
it.
was an idea that maybe was before its time and
Yeah.
just never got off the ground.
And it was right around the same time that I think she also created that Community Relations and Communication Council again, which hasn't really done anything in 14 plus years either.
right, and until you put that down there, I don't think I've ever seen it on a, one of our thing.
Because I put it down there because it's listed in the policy.
See, but like, if we need to, right, so if we need to, since we're doing this, let's,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. Like, if it's in the policy, then we should get rid of that
And amend the policy.
and amend the policy. If we decide as a board to remove the data committee and the Community Relations and Communication Council, then we should, change that policy as
And just
well.
so you know, what has been strong is the data teams at each of the schools.
Yeah.
So
Right.
all of our curriculum administrator takes a leadership role with that, coupled with the school principals, and some key teachers themselves are taking leadership roles at the schools. So it's not like we're not looking at data. So they're all looking at data. Ann talked a little bit about it tonight, and they're doing progress monitoring. You've seen our data presentation, so it's not like we're saying data's not important, just not sure it needs to be a board committee. It's more something that the schools present it to the board, so.
Okay. So if those, and that's in our, which policy? Is both data and the community
Yeah,
relations?
we have a
and-
policy that lists all of our
Right,
committees.
okay.
And when I schedule my policy committee, I'll bring that policy to the committee and remind them what we talked about here.
Okay.
Can I ask a silly
Yep.
question? Changing policies, what is the standard practice for that? Is that a board voted thing, or do we have to go through the state in any way, shape, or form for that? Okay.
We bring a policy to the policy committee, and they'll make a recommendation to the board of whether it's recommending a new policy, recommending amending a policy, or recommending rescinding a policy. We actively meet twice a year. That could spread out over more than one meeting because of the work we're doing. But then for a policy to change, it has to have 2 board readings.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot of policies, sometimes they come down from the New Hampshire School Board Association.
Yeah, well-
They'll kind of adopt their policy, especially if it's based on an RSA or something like that.
Yep,
They'll
yep.
Have to.
Well, that's why I was asking nationally accepted best practices.
Yep.
I've had a lot of experience with representing the department at the Office of Legislative Services, departmental policies, their administrative core rules. I didn't know if we had to go through legislation on stuff.
Yep, our own.
Even better.
Our own little legislative body.
I like sitting on this side of the table.
Professional Development Council, so that's for the professional development.
And that's one to keep alive, but we really won't
Right.
be
use it
doing
for-
much with it for another 5 years when we rewrite a plan.
Right, okay. And then we talked about 5th grade study, 5-year strategic plan committee, same thing, that's busy right now, and then,
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll be done by the end of this term, again, to
Right.
present something, yeah.
okay. So, all right, next, what is everybody's Because then what will happen is we'll take all this information and then I'll ask you guys to email me what your thoughts and preferences are. And then at the next meeting, we'll actually vote on assignments and which ones we're keeping and things like that. Contract negotiations committee would have to have 3 people. Because it would be NTU contracts, Pasquani and/or Hill, if we're gonna combine them all into one. It would need to have, one, it has to have odd, and I think 3 would be good because, tell me if I'm wrong, because we'll be a 5-member board, but they're the only ones on that because they're usually confidential pieces. It's not like you have lots of administrators and other people on that committee other than poor Paul. Everybody good with 3? Because that's what we've had in the past. You good with that? Okay. I'm seeing lots of head shakes. Facilities, we've always done 2. Do we want to continue with 2?
I think 2's fine.
Okay, so head nods. And if somebody thinks about it and wants to change it, you can always send me an email and then we can rediscuss it at the next meeting. Policy committee is
Currently 3.
3.
but
Currently 3.
Could we go down to 2 would be good.
There's a lot of voting members of that committee.
Yep.
Okay. You guys all kind of good with switching that down, to 2? Okay. Policy 2. Okay. School Board Association delegate, you can only have 1. Budget committee rep, 1. I've always had 1. Yep, okay, I'm seeing head nods. Legislative, we said no. Professional development would be 1. Wellness committee is 1 rep. Everybody good with that? Okay. Facilities 2. Building committee, we have 1. Is everybody good with still just 1? Yes, okay. Curriculum committee has 3.
We don't need 3. I would recommend 1.
I think the reason
2 at
why,
the
when we
most.
put in that curriculum committee, I think part of the reason why was we thought that only board members could vote. There was some confusion, if I remember
Where
correctly.
a committee's just recommending an action to a board.
Right.
They're not decision
And
makers.
we've also
they're
defined our
recommenders.
committees better on who can vote.
Yeah.
We made that a little bit more definitive.
Right.
So what do you guys think about how many people should be on curriculum?
How often do they meet?
We meet as needed in the sense of, anytime there's proposed new curriculum at one of the schools, it's presented to the committee starts asking some of the questions and diving deep, and then the committee's recommending to the board the approval of the curriculum.
So if a board member is sitting on the committee, do they have to abstain from the votes? No, okay.
For any of
Sorry,
the
I'm just
committees,
trying to-
no.
No,
it's
that's
a big
absolutely
myself.
fine.
I don't know, to go from 3 to 1, if you have only 1 and they are not there, then you have no input.
So 2?
I would try to and see how it works, and if there's no snags, and could consider it for the following year.
Okay. What else we went over? Technology Council.
I would keep 1
Okay.
and keep 1 at the PD council, but again, I think Ariel's gonna try to be a little bit more active than the past of convening the PD council at least once a year, even if it's not a plan writing year, just to, check in, how is the plan going, how, fidelity.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not gonna be an active where that person needs to meet a lot, so.
Okay. And the 5-year strategic plan, who's on that right now?
Fran,
Okay. And that's just one person, right?
yep, and like I said, our work will be coming to an end
Okay.
by the summer.
And then last but not least, restructuring, which should be the 4 of us until June 30th.
Right.
Everybody in a kind of, yeah? Okay. And like I said, it'll be official when we all vote on it with, so we'll do a spreadsheet with the committee, how many are assigned, and all of that. I'll do a lovely little thing. So if everybody could email me what committees they prefer and would like to be a part of, that would be stellar.
And as far as the scheduling of their meetings and things of that nature, are there general times? How can
It
we
depends on the
project?
committee. A lot of times they'll email out and ask people's availability. Usually like facilities is usually evening. A lot of them are.
No, facilities has been going more like five.
Five?
Yeah.
I call
Okay,
it.
And building is the same. I think it's to keep
Right.
Armin from having to
Right,
come back.
right.
They usually, most of our committees start around 5.
Okay, that's, okay, I just want to make sure I can make it back from Concord.
Yeah, one of the only ones that met earlier in the day fairly regularly was the PD, because it was important to have the teachers on the PD committee, and having them come back in the evening was harder.
Right,
Than
that makes
having
sense.
one board member try to make it during the day.
Hey, I made it to one meeting.
You did. But most of the committees are late afternoon into evening. like
And I mean, even
yeah.
if some committees are open to like having a Zoom call or a Teams call or something for those that might not be able to be there in person.
Yeah.
Which you've done before too.
Yes, I have done before. I've done interviews
Yeah.
while I've been cooking in the past.
And you'll do this? You don't need me to do this?
Yes, I'll work on this
Okay.
for you.
Thanks.
I'll take that task on my chicken scratch. I will take that on. So yeah, if everybody could just email me your committee assignment requests, that would be great. Okay, next we'll move on to First New Hampshire Robotics Grant.
So I included the grant. First New Hampshire Robotics awarded $1,000 to our high school robotics team.
Awesome.
And
a motion
because
to
of
accept it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? No. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay. He had to run out.
Yeah. Just, right?
Yeah, he's like
He's absent.
You can put absent for the moment because he stepped out.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay, next, approve the superintendent to accept resignations until the next meeting, right?
Yes. Or between meetings, or do you have me do that every time?
I think last year we did it every
Every time.
time, just so that we would keep up on it, so that there was no confusion. We just re-upped it every meeting just to,
And the purpose of that is for us to get a jump on advertising. Like, I
Correct.
know there's 2 in the pipeline that may be going to other school districts, one for a commute reason and, well, commute and salary and both together, and then the other one, salary, that to wait 2 weeks to a month before we can advertise the position, we'd like to.
yeah.
I make a motion, we approve the superintendent to accept resignations so that he can get advertising out in a timely fashion.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions. Okay, next. Graduation date, Saturday, June 14th.
He's been asking me for months to approve this. I said, let us get through snow season, so here we are. Saturday. We're having nothing that will push off schools. So,
Because now we can
attendance.
switch to like
Yeah.
I don't
hours.
know,
like-
I remember one year, the only snow day we had was April 1st.
Yeah.
But you can always, then you can, for
That
the
would be
seniors, you
tomorrow.
can.
Or like Ashland, they had to cancel school because town had no
Yeah.
power.
We'll find a way to stay on track for that graduation date.
Okay, even if we switched out.
So that's back to a Saturday. If you recall, we did Friday night last year, but the seniors this year would like to go back to Saturday.
Fair enough. Good for them. The last class, they voted and won on Fridays. Like,
Yep.
it is what it is. Their preference. All right, I need a motion to accept graduation date for Saturday, June 14th of 2025.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions. Okay. Next, 4-member voting agenda, election results. We had to do a recount. And, I mean, you already mentioned it quickly, but it went from, it's now an 18 vote difference. From
Yes.
6 to 18.
It went from 6 to 18 that the budget did not pass. I don't know if there's anything to vote on this, but just to put it on the agenda, to acknowledge to the public which warrant articles passed and did not pass. The teacher's contract passed.
Yep.
the Maintenance Trust Fund and Technology Trust Fund passed, and the amendment and rescission, the two different articles around the tax cap both failed.
All right, thank you. Any questions regarding the election results? Nope. All right. Next, new hires. Oh, I only have one. So we have, we have Emily Finney, who Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay. Next, memorandum of understanding Lakes Region High School Consortium Agreement.
Also, Lakes Region Superintendents, slightly different group in the Lakes Region. This is mostly for the schools that are also sending schools to the same CTE program. So kind of a subset of our full Lakes Region group, that since we're already sharing educational opportunities for the career and technical education classes, knowing that, there are teacher shortages and declining populations and enrollments, that unfortunately some of that, the victims are the students, because we're unable to find a teacher to teach AP Chemistry, or we don't have enough students in AP Calc to really justify running it, is looking as a consortium of, since we're already sending buses between our schools, and could we also make sure that we can share access to not just the special ed piece, but, all realms, like, this school's running AP French, this school's running AP Chemistry, just same thing, like signing on to, this is keeping opportunities for students in times where it may not be economically feasible, or even, again, just like the special ed services are dropping, so we're like at quality access to, teachers, so, especially north of Concord. So.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions? All right, next, Building Committee membership additions. There was a request by the Building Committee to add a member from the town of Alexandria. So Kimberly just cannot stay away. So Kim Bliss from Alexandria and Brittany Galvin from Bristol. The Building Committee would like to add those two memberships. Additions, there we go, whatever, sorry.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions. Okay, next, resignations. Okay, I got a bunch. Okay, is that supposed to be Justina?
Yes, Justine.
Justine.
Yep.
Okay. Justine Kimball from Bristol, and all of these are, I'm just going to say it ahead of time. All of these resignations are effective June 30th of 2025. Justine Kimball from BES Special Education Teacher. Rose Darrow, BES Special Education Teacher. Vanessa Robert, BHVS Teacher. Dorothy Beadle, BHVS Literacy Specialist. Kelly McLean, BHVS Teacher. Abigail Mooney, BHVS Teacher. Eliza Boswell, BHVS Teacher. Linda Green, BES Principal. Kimberly Denton, BHVS Speech and Language Pathologist. Sarah Cormia, hopefully I said that right, BHVS Teacher. Catherine Roman, BHVS Teacher. Kathleen Connor, BHVS Guidance Counselor. Lindsay Hogan, BHVS School Nurse. Meredith Layton, BHVS Preschool Teacher. Jennifer Kay, BHVS Special Education Teacher. Jennifer, how do you pronounce her last name? Pinkney, BHVS Teacher. I need a motion to accept the resignations.
So moved.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? I'd like to thank them all for all that they've done for the district. I know a lot of them are separating off, but I'd like to thank them all for everything that they've done.
Are the people that are resigning from Bridgewater, is it because of the withdrawal or because they're really resigning?
No,
Well, they're resigning from SAU 4.
Okay.
Right.
To work at
They
Bridgewater.
don't wanna wait.
Okay.
They're resigning from
to stay in
Bridgewater
the
to
same
work at
place.
Bridgewater.
All right. Next, public comment on agenda items only, 2 minutes per comment. Public comment?
Aubrey Friedman, Bridgewater, just a question. So when you were talking about the election, we had to go to the default budget, $230,000 less. And I'm glad to hear that nobody needs to be laid off and you found ways to accommodate. But I'm wondering, especially going from the PCs to the Chromebooks, $85,000 saved, or to be saved, plus also software licenses. Why wasn't that put into the budget before the voters voted on it?
He hadn't realized that yet. This is late news and ongoing research. Same with, when we start assembling this budget proposal last fall, and again, because we're SB2 and we start gathering early, like at this point, I mean, that was when he started budgeting for next year, that was 7-8 months ago, when he didn't realize, he didn't have that thought process of, can we move, because we've had kids at Chromebooks, this is moving all the staff to Chrome versus, and then there's been a lot of developments in technology on the adult versions of Chrome too, to make them comparable to PC use. Because there was a lot of pushback at first, or worries, like, can teachers run the same programs they could on Chrome versus the traditional PC, like the Dells and the Acers? We wanted to look at especially those teachers that run special ed apps, that run business apps, that run engineering apps, and a lot of, our curriculum is also based in has to have certain platforms that they're able to access. So he's had a lot of people pilot the Chromes this year to make sure they can do what we want them to do. So.
Who's he?
Oh, our IT director. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any further public comment? Yes.
I have perhaps a question, I'm not sure if I'm able to ask that now, but, so Christina Verho from New Hampton. I believe Tess, is that her name? Tess?
Yes.
Sorry. Had mentioned something about the STEAM camps this summer. And she mentioned directly Danbury students and Bristol students, but not New Hampton students. Is that?
Because it's the 21st Century Grant, the only schools that qualified for it, I believe, and Alicia would, or maybe you know but I believe it's because of the Century 21 grant, and Bristol, so it would have been Bristol, Danbury, and the high school were the only 3 schools that qualified for that grant.
Yeah.
So it would be an extension. She mentioned it as being an extension to that.
Yeah,
a new
Title 4B, which is what the 21C grant comes from, it's a sub-grant through Title 4B, so it's all schools that already access Project Promise money or 21st Century money, they're eligible to apply for this sub-grant.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
New Hampton students that attend the high school will be able to benefit from it.
Right, but
Yeah.
not elementary.
Not out, yeah.
Okay, all right.
or the middle school,
Yeah.
because their test scores got too good.
I have just one.
Yes.
Jen McDonald, New Hampton, about graduation. I would actually encourage the board to consider taking that decision over and out of the hands of the seniors. We are fortunate in Newfound to have an outstanding track and field team. And over the last 5 years, we've had many kids qualify for the New England Track and Field Championship, which is always held that Saturday. So,
Did you know that?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
and I'll add further.
It's horrible. Okay, I'm like, oh.
my new 1% of the kids of the class, but it does impact them. And we, now with our start date before, or early, we're starting after Labor Day, but still on the 2nd, it's early. And so, anyway, I just think that maybe you should consider that being a projected date that you set. For, I don't care what it is, Friday or Saturday, but I think parents really were feeling the stress of not knowing until now, and I know with snow days, that's an issue, but you might just say it's projected for this Saturday, and they know that, and then, but it will impact, and it has impacted in the past. It's hard for kids to have to choose. Obviously, graduation is what they choose, so they miss out on that opportunity.
It seems like.
No, I don't want you to change it this year. It is what it is, but in the future.
Gotcha.
Seems like the field activity needs to think about changing their date.
Yeah, we've had a student affected once every few years for who is invited to participate. And she's right that they've had to make a choice in the past.
Friday graduations would alleviate that choice, but it is only in my new.
Kind of
But we do
hard to have a
wonderful
Friday
track and
night
field teams.
graduation and an afternoon cookout.
That's something we can have our high school personnel examine and start looking at and with our athletic director. Because
Yeah.
we've had kids not attend graduation in the past for.
Yeah. And I think there's potential for even baseball and softball tournaments to be still happening on that Saturday. We haven't made it that far into the playoffs in several years.
Good to know, thank you. Yeah, that's Father's Day weekend too. Bike weekend.
It's Bike Weekend, Father's Day, and a lot going on in other neighboring districts holding graduations. I mean, it's, yeah, in Interlakes and, yep.
Is theirs the 14th too?
Yeah. My wife and I get to choose separate that day, so.
Gotcha, okay. All right, any further public comments? Sorry, I forgot what I was doing.
We did miss a correspondence at the beginning, only because I had it in the wrong order in my binder. But it is actually from Jennifer McDonald, so. Not about graduation, about something positive that through her grant works made happen. It was to you and me and a few others back on March 7th.
Oh, no, that's right, that's the one that went to Max.
Yes.
Oh, it went to Max and not
But
you.
somebody forwarded it to me.
Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it?
You can read it.
Okay. So it said, "Dear Chris, Jacob, Paul, and Melissa," so that's me, the principal of the middle school, and the assistant principal of the middle school, and your son, who
The other M suckling.
the other M suckling. Before the week gets away from me, I wanted to take a moment to share what a wonderful experience the Teen Institute Leaders in Prevention Retreat was for the six middle school students who attended. This group of 6th and 7th graders represented Newfound incredibly well, and on multiple occasions, both Jen Carita and I received compliments about our team. Our students were not only kind and supportive of one another, but they also welcomed everyone. I witnessed one of our students approach a camper who was eating alone and invite him to join our group. Later, when the same student was by himself during the dance, our students made sure he felt included by inviting him to dance with us. When the students first arrived, many were nervous, shy, and anxious. However, as the weekend progressed, I watched them come out of their shells, contribute their ideas to the group, and reflect on ways they could make their community better. One of the retreat activities had the team create a plan for something they would do once they returned to school to improve their school community. Our students identified that sometimes kids don't have enough to do, and providing more activities could help keep them from making poor choices. After a lot of thoughtful discussion, they initially wanted to start a farm club. At one point, they even talked about buying livestock and putting them in Kelly Park. That will have to go to a different board than this. Through guided action planning process, they worked through the necessary steps and ultimately decided to plant a garden bed of vegetables instead. The final product wasn't the goal. It was the teamwork, collaboration, and communication they demonstrated along the way that made this experience so meaningful. You should be incredibly proud of our students and our community. We truly shined this weekend. Best regards, Jennifer McDonald.
Thank you.
We had a really great time.
That's awesome. All right, board member comments. Also, I just realized as you're doing that, I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot to talk about appointing a 5th board member for July 1st. So board
As
member.
one of the warrant articles.
Yes, so one of the warrant articles that passed would be us as a board appointing someone, a 5th board member. We as a board, the 4 members would vote on who it would be. So just trying to get the word out there. Anybody that's interested, it can be from any of the 4 towns. You should send an email to myself and Paul, and it's msuckling1 at SAU4. Send an email to myself and Paul of a letter of interest of why you're interested in the board meeting or appointed opening. And then we as a board will invite whoever is interested to a specific meeting, maybe in May. Because we only have two meetings in May and only one in June.
1 to 2.
1 to 2.
In June.
And maybe it might behoove us to do it in May, because Fran's gone in June on her annual trip to the sunshine. And that way it gives somebody a couple meetings that they could come and maybe observe before they're up at the table too and feel more
Do we
confident.
have a deadline for submissions for that?
We should probably post that on the SAU website at a deadline.
With a deadline.
Yeah.
So our anticipated second meeting would be, if we go second and fourth, we wouldn't have a second meeting in May, because
Yeah.
the second Monday is Memorial Day.
Then we do it Tuesday.
Okay.
Every time there's a Monday holiday, we've
We
done
do
it
it
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh,
We
okay.
run into that with Columbus Day, we run into that with Veterans Day. So
Yeah.
actually,
And a lot of
October and
times in-
November are Tuesday meetings.
Right, because a lot of times in May, I think we've always just had one. I think, from Pat, that's why I keep saying there's only one meeting in May. I think that's why.
But where there's only one meeting in April, we might want to have two in May.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with doing Tuesday, that's fine with me.
We have the vacation before.
Yeah, so let's do letters of interest to us by, you guys, like May 27th, before, so it would need to be before then, so
The end of the first week in May?
by May 19th, which is a week ahead of time, so that way I can compile them and tell them to come to the meeting on May 27th. And that way we can get them out with all the board packet, well, I can get them out to all the board members.
That makes sense.
And
So
then
by
they
May
serve for
18th.
a year, and then
They would serve until
run
March.
For, yeah, and
Yeah.
then they'd run for,
If they wanted to run again, they would run for that open seat, which would only be a 2-year cycle. It would only be a 2-year cycle because then it would be, because it will be on the ballot. The at-large will be on the ballot when Alexandria, so there's 2 people on the ballot. So that way it will be, every year it'll be 2 people, and then 1. I forget who's the lone.
So you're saying have them do by May 19th to you and I,
Yep,
and then
We'll send them
those
out.
letters would be sent out to everyone for the May 27th meeting, meaning all of you
yep.
to look at.
And then would have them come to that meeting too, because
So-
that way we can ask questions, because usually what happens is if people are interested, we'll ask questions and,
And then you would nominate someone that night based on their questions that they answer?
Yeah.
Okay. And their letters that you've read?
yep.
Okay, I'll put something together, what we'll put on the website and show it to you and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, you guys,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, I'm glad I remembered that before the meeting. Okay. I don't think we have to vote on that, do we? No, I don't think so.
Just to advertise.
No, I don't think so.
It was already approved by the voters.
Right, it was approved by the voters, it's just kind of us kind of coming up with a process, so. Otherwise, I don't have any other comments, sorry. So, board member comments, anybody have any comments? No?
I'll just quickly acknowledge today is International Trans Day of Visibility, and just recognize the contributions of students and folks in our community, and just say that I admire their bravery in the face of adversity.
Right, any other board member comments? Okay. Seeing none, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions. Okay? All right, so I have 2 to sign, right?